Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Quick world update for you. Today we are out here shooting some guns, shooting some bows. Dogs be trying to cool themselves off because it is hot outside, but I wanted to... This guy is hot. He's a good boy, though. He's a good boy. I wanted to share my thoughts on this Biden situation with his new exit strategy, which I predicted 2 weeks ago after the very shoddy, subpar performance in the debate. I predicted that the Biden administration needed an exit strategy that was going to allow him to relinquish control, but save face in doing so. Because, of course, the writing was on the wall after that. Of course, it was long before that, but it was only then that, for whatever reason, the lamestream media decided to turn on him. So I predicted at the time that the only way he could go out and save face was if it was attributed to physical ineptness as opposed to his languishing mental faculties. And sure enough, the geniuses who surround him, his advisors, his staffers, they came up with a great plan. Well, Biden had COVID today, apparently. And of course, this is genius because not only does it validate the last 4 years of nuttiness, of course, it doesn't validate the medical intervention, which was supposed to be more effective and prevent this from happening, I suppose. But nobody's going to think about that because people don't think, right? But what it's going to allow him to do is get out, save face, say it was old age that brought him out. It wasn't any sort of dementia or anything like that. And this is going to allow them to bring in the next candidate before the deadline here in August. Now, a lot of people are writing off Kamala Harris. And I could quite frankly care less who the president is going to be. Not because it's not my country. Of course, we all have a dog in that fight in terms of if the U.S. goes down, we all go down, especially Canada. We are the biggest trading partner. I can put my quarters in your pop machines and yours in mine. And we speak the same language and we more or less have the same culture. And we are as joined at the hip. We're Siamese twins, okay? But with the exception that you guys have a lot more cool guns than us. We still have a few guns, though. Anyways, getting off topic here. But the thing is, people write her off, but all it's going to take is the right endorsements. And when you get Michelle Obama endorsing Kamala Harris or whoever they're going, like she's going to be the interim president, who knows who's going to be her VP and who they're going to bring up. It's still open-ended with respect to that, right? But it's not going to take much at this point in time because the pendulum swings. Back in 2016, I told people, I said that after the Trump got elected, I said that the pendulum is going to swing in the other direction and we're going to go to the opposite extreme. We had all the riots and the BLM and the Antifa stuff, and the pendulum has now swung back the other way, with Trump being the one positioned as the renegade of sorts, the renegade candidate. But the pendulum can quickly swing back the other way. Despite the assassination attempt of Trump, I think that there still is a undercurrent of progressive angst, and that could be tapped into with the right candidate. And of course, 50% of the United States are women, 33% didn't vote, or 33% of the general population did not vote in the last election. So it's going to be a dead heat right to the finish. At the end of the day, for people like me, objective, what would I call myself? Just an analyst of sorts, a general analyst, a aggregator of geopolitical data, if you will. For people like me, I realize that foreign policy is not really dictated by such things. The grand strategy remains the same. The ultimate goal remains the same, which of course is to dethrone the Chinese and Russian empire, and of course the Iranians and their other proxies like North Korea. That's the ultimate goal. It's just the path that they're going to take to get there. It's one gang versus another. Of course, if Biden loses or Biden administration loses, that means that we're going to war with Iran. and probably China as well. They're going to ramp up the Taiwan front because Vance is a hardliner against China as well, as is Trump with his supposed tariffs and claims that the Taiwanese are not doing enough because they stole the chips. And we're going to get into all that tomorrow. But it's really just a matter of who we're going to go to war with first. Are we going to continue to ramp up the war against Russia, or are we going to start going for China? Of course, a stepping stone towards both of those is the Middle East. That's the low-hanging fruit, so they think. Now, I would encourage you, and I'm going to go into a deeper dive about this tomorrow, but there is a Russian political scientist named Zhirinovsky. And Zhirinovsky predicted all kinds of things, incredibly prophetic and prescient he was. He predicted the exact date that the Ukrainian invasion was going to take place, okay, right down to the exact day. Now, that could be because him and Putin were pretty close, and Putin told him the plan. He is no longer alive today, but he also predicted that Trump would be assassinated or could be assassinated. He said this very clearly on video, okay, that Trump could be assassinated. He said that there was not going to be any U.S. elections in 2024. No U.S. elections in 2024. He also predicted that the war in Iran would start in 2024. And he predicted that the horrors that we see in the war with Iran were going to be unlike anything ever seen before in war. They were going to be unlike anything seen in the current high-intensity warfare being waged by the Russians and Ukrainians. And if that is true, that, quite frankly, is one of the most horrific wars, I'd say, in history, because the drone element and all the other technologies that are being utilized and just the casualty rates are extreme, considering there's only really 2 countries fighting compared to World War II when there was several countries at war. So very high casualty rates. And if he's saying that the war in Iran is going to have untold horrors that have never before been seen in history, and that is going to start this year, well, that maps on personally with Trump's vice presidential pick, who has suggested that Israel should more aggressively bomb Iran. So I guess we're going to see in the not so distant future exactly how all of this is going to play out. When you're looking at gold and oil, you'll notice that yesterday oil plummeted because I think they thought that, okay, Trump made his VP pick and oil was kind of dropping since Trump was attempted to be assassinated, and because he survived, they think that the prospects of him getting elected are going to be higher. He's going to open the spigot, so it's going to be drill, baby, drill. So maybe that's why the price of oil is actually going down. However, this also means that he's going to go to war with Iran, which is going to cause the price of oil to spike. And no, they're not going to nationalize the U.S. oil fields to keep the price of oil down. They're not going to do that, because if they do that, the U.S. dollar collapses. You'll also notice, however, the price of gold has been going up. And that could be attributed to the fact that they're going to capitulate to the Russians. Because, of course, in the grand scheme of things, if they lose to the Russians, they lose the financial system. They lose the price of gold. Because it calls into question the integrity of not only it's a complicated state of affairs. I don't want to get into it right now because, quite frankly, we need to camp. But tomorrow, we're going to talk all about it. I'm losing sunlight, and my son is desperate to go and shoot some guns. Isn't that right? There we go. Let's get to it before sundown. Plus, we got a lot of eating to do. Let's see what happens, guys. Talk to you on the flip side.